Okay, so that's a loop that I've put together. I've used my brand new pack, Lo-Fi Drums Volume 5, that is now available on spvids.com. I'll put a link to it up in the top right hand corner. There's links in my description to my store if you want to go and check that out and download it. Thanks to everyone that's picked that up so far, really appreciate it. So yeah, the drums are from that particular pack, and I've laid those underneath that sample. Now that sample has done a very good job of covering a lot of the basses that you need for making beats. It's got a lot of that low end that you need, so it's actually written its own bass line just from the bass that's on the chops, which is really, really nice. If I go ahead and show you. So I have pitched it up slightly, but you can still hear that that bass is doing a great job from the sample. And because of the way that I've chopped it so that the bass note is always going to be at the start of one of those chops. So like I've mentioned, yeah, it's kind of written its own bass line, which is really cool. So next up, what I thought was, this kind of needs something else. It sounds okay, but I would like to build on this idea a little bit. So what I'm going to do is add some percussion. Now I'm going to go into my older packs and dig out some percussion sounds for this. First of all, what I'm going to do is make some copies. So we've got 3 of the same loop there, and I'm going to go ahead now and come out of that mode, and we're going to go to Shift 14 for import, export, import from SD card, sample. I'm going to go to spvids and Lo-Fi Drums Volume 3, and yeah, this has got some H5 perks. H5 basically was the handheld recorder that I used, the Zoom H5, and inside here we've got some different sounds. Now I really like keys, and I really like shake as well. So shake, I don't think that's the actual sound I'm going to end up using. I'm going to end up doing some work on that to make it fit a little bit better, but I'm going to go ahead and import both these. So I'll import shake, and we'll get keys in here as well. And I think a combination of those two, we can get something sounding nice. So let's go ahead and listen to that. And there's actually effect on that, which I don't want. So let's hit remain, make sure we're in bus 1, and just make sure there's no effects on it. And we want gate off. And there's a bit of a tail on that actually, so I'm going to go to start and end and cut that out. Maybe add a little bit more tail. We'll add an envelope on that in a minute as well. So we're going to truncate it, and what I'm going to do is add that envelope which I mentioned. Let's see what this sounds like. Perfect, that's taken that tail out, and it sounds nice and natural now. This has got a similar sort of thing, so maybe if I just bang an envelope on this as well. I think that is going to need some cropping. There we go, that sounds nice. Let's truncate that. Okay, so I want to pitch this up as well. Let's go for +2. And we're going to reduce the volume because I already know that's going to be too loud. Okay, and let's go into pattern mode, and I'm going to go ahead and layer that over the top of this. So let's go record 2, and I'm going to actually put quantize on to 100% for this. That probably would have been easier to use TR record for that, because you can just kind of press in, and I was doing it kind of every, 2 steps I think it was. And that's still actually a little bit too loud as well. Okay, kind of like the volume of that, and then we've got these keys. So that is obviously way too loud. Let's turn that right down. And I think I'm going to do that just at the start of every bar. So once every 4 beats, I think that's going to be. Pattern select, record 2, and I'm going to keep the quantize on. Apologies, I recorded that and the sound was very low on my SP. So I've just cut that out, and I'll show you the example now. And okay, I think that's sounding way better. I think it's adding a much more unique texture underneath that beat, and it's just giving it a bit more flavour and a bit more depth, and I like the vibe that that's given it. So that's one idea of how I could use percussion, and I've used 2 different percussion types there to quite nice effect. Now let's see if we can go ahead and do something different with this third one. So I'm going to go ahead and import something again. Let's check Lo-Fi Drums Volume 3 again. Now this tick, it actually is quite useful considering it doesn't actually sound like it's that much. Now if we put that on 16 velocity, I think we can do something pretty cool with that. So I'm going to layer that, and I'll put it on this one to start off with, and then maybe we'll just end up merging it with what's on pad 2. So let's have a go with this. And yeah, we'll keep quantize on, and I'm going to jump straight into 16 velocity once this starts recording. Okay, so that's kind of doubled up the hi-hat pattern, but it's got quite a lot of dynamics in it because I've used it at 16 velocity, so it adds quite an interesting vibe. Obviously, I need to go in as well and change the level of this, so let's do that and get this nailed. So let's get that pattern going again. We could go ahead and do all sorts of things like that. We could pitch that down massively. Let's see what that sounds like. And also, obviously, you could go ahead and add some effects as well. So maybe if I add some reverb to this and resample it. So what I'm going to do is firstly exchange this, shift exchange, I'll move it to there. And what I'll do is resample it to pad 6 because that's the pad that's in the pattern. So we'll go ahead and add some reverb on this. Resampled to 6. Okay, and now because 6 is programmed into that pattern, it should just trigger that pad now that's got the reverb on it. Probably could have done something a bit more creative with that and maybe mixed up the pattern a little bit. I could actually add in some more sounds. So let's try that. Let's try adding in a couple of extra little hits just to add a bit more of a percussive feel and a bit more of a different rhythm. Okay, maybe needs a little bit more work, but there's some sort of idea going on there, and I think there's something that could be done with that. Maybe with a few more effects, make it a little bit further back in the mix. It's a bit close in the mix. That could be quite a nice sound. So if you get some percussive sounds and lay them over your loops that you've created, you can start to make a much better dynamic and something that's much more interesting to listen to the listener. And hopefully this will add a little bit more of that spice to your beats.